Hello. Jesus, no, I put that band when I'm doing my makeup and suddenly it pushes my hair back like that and it's like, ah, my forehead is so big. No, no. Oh man, that is so bad looking. Damn it. God. Don't make it so big. You're so big. Come down, stupid hair. Fuck. So like, we need to do something about this. What are these called? Bangs or something? I don't know. I don't know anything. So yeah, why don't I read? Oh, wait a minute. It's over here. I'm going to read from this Transmisogyny. It is by Julia Serrano, who is a trans woman. And trans woman is not one word, it's trans is one word, and woman is a separate word. There's a reason for this, I guess, because apparently if you use trans woman as one word, it is like sort of making them into a wholly separate category from women. They're not real women, but if you use trans and women separately, so they're just trans is like an adjective, so you know they're not removing trans women out of the definition of women, so that is important to keep in mind. All right, so I think this I found this page somewhere, but I think it's from a book, Whipping Girl, a transsexual woman on sexism and the scapegoating of femininity. I do have that book, but this is from online. So it's called Transmisogyny Primer. The words transgender and gender variant are typically used as catch-all terms to denote all people who defy cultural ideals, expectations, assumptions, and norms regarding gender. While all people who fall under the transgender umbrella potentially face social stigma for transgressing gender norms, those on the male to female or trans female/feminine spectrum generally receive the overwhelming majority of societal fascination, consternation, and demonization. So she's saying trans women like me, you know, male to female, you know, that's kind of true. In contrast, those on the female to male or trans male masculine spectrum have until very recently remained largely invisible and under-theorized. This disparity in attention suggests that individuals on the trans female feminine spectrum are culturally marked not for failing to conform to gender norms per se, but because of the specific direction of their gender transgression, that is, because of their feminine gender expression and or their feminine gender identities. So there's a difference between gender expression and gender identity. So gender expression is how you choose to express yourself, like what clothes you wear, whether you wear makeup, or how your behavior, your voice. Your gender identity is something else. It's like how you see yourself. It's like an internal thing, I believe. So thus the marginalization of trans female feminine spectrum people is not merely a result of transphobia, but is better described as transmisogyny. Now, a trans woman is someone who was born with a male body and who transitions to live as a woman, right? A Trans woman is not a person who was born with a female body and becomes a male. Some people get confused. No, trans woman is referring to what they identify now. So I would be considered a trans woman because I identify as a female now, whereas I was born with a male body. So transmisogyny is steeped in the assumption that femaleness and femininity are inferior to and exist primarily for the benefit of maleness and masculinity. This phenomenon manifests itself in numerous ways. And here are some of the ways. Studies have shown that feminine boys are viewed far more negatively and brought in for psychotherapy far more often than masculine girls. Psychiatric diagnoses directed against the transgender population often either focus solely on trans female feminine individuals, or are written in such a way that trans female feminine people are more easily and frequently pathologized than their trans male masculine counterparts. The majority of violence committed against gender variant individuals targets individuals on the trans female feminine spectrum. In the media, jokes and demeaning depictions of gender variant people primarily focus on trans female feminine spectrum people. Often in these cases, it is their desire to be female and or feminine that is especially ridiculed, while trans male masculine individuals are often subjects of derision. The desire to be male and or masculine is generally not ridiculed. To do so would bring the supposed supremacy of maleness masculinity into question. So she's saying, if a woman wants to be a man, it's not as badly looked upon as when a man wants to be a woman, because there's this idea in the patriarchal society that masculinity has privilege. So a woman wanting to be a man is we can understand that. Whereas why would a man want to be a woman? Okay, so. Perhaps the most visible example of transmisogyny is the way in which trans women and others on the trans female feminine spectrum are routinely sexualized in the media, within psychological, social science and feminist discourses, and in society at large. So in feminism, there is a history of transmisogyny. I mean, some feminists have, issues with trans women mainly, and there are some critiques of that. For example, the media not only regularly depict trans women's bodies and experiences in a titillating and lurid fashion, but they also sexualize trans women's motives for transitioning. Example, by portraying them as either sex workers, sexual deceivers who prey on unsuspecting heterosexual men, or as male perverts who transition to female in order to fulfill some kind of bizarre sexual fantasy. There are people who do that. Sometimes they call them cross-dressers, or I don't know, transvestites, which is a derogatory term. While trans men may face a certain degree of media objectification, their motives for transitioning are not typically sexualized in the same manner. If anything, those who project ulterior motives onto trans men, meaning women who transition to male, generally presume that they transition in order to obtain the male privilege rather than for sexual reasons. Thus, the assumption that trans women but not trans men are sexually motivated in their transitions appears to reflect the cultural assumption that a woman's power and worth stems primarily from her ability to be sexualized by others. Okay, that was an interesting read. But yeah, I'm sort of learning more and more about transmisogyny and cissexism and internalized transphobia, when you internalize the prejudices society throws on you. Now, one of the things about cissexism I really want to talk about is like this idea that this idea that if you're a trans man or trans woman, one cissexist position is that your gender is not as legitimate as someone who identifies with who was born with a male body or male female. So if someone, a cisgender person is basically, cis means on the same side, so they're not crossing the gender, they belong in the same as their biology. So someone who has a female body and identifies as a female is a cis woman. Someone who has a male body and identifies as a man is a cis man. A trans woman is someone who has a male body but identifies as a woman. A trans man is someone who has a female body but identifies as a man. So one aspect, one point from one cissexist perspective is that these transgendered individuals, their gender identity is not legitimate because they don't have the body, so their gender is questioned or is not as legitimate as someone who has a who's cisgender. So there is a critique to that, but I don't know. Forgot it. I should see the video actually. You could Google it. I think it's that kind of position undermines. Like if you're a feminist or whatever, it kind of undermines the view that to tie gender directly to biology. Let me Google this. I am so bloody bad. Let me see. Cissexism. Maybe I should read it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's conflating gender with genitals. One example is, let's say there are people who are intersex, right? Who means they are born with, let's say, male and female organs. Under the cissexist view, which is like a binary view of gender, there's only male, female, there's only a male body, there's only a female body. The cissexist position is inadequate to account for those individuals who are born with both genitals. Where do they fit in? So the theory is kind of inadequate to reality, right? And some people have XXY chromosomes or XYY chromosomes. What are they? Are these people male or female? XX means female, XY means male. So are these people, what happens to those kinds of people? So anyway, yeah. Anyway, there are some videos on this. I'll link to the video. It probably explain it better. I feel so stupid right now. I'm still learning this, but yeah, the cissexist research definitely undermines some kind of a feminist view, because feminists are trying to argue that there is no, the biology doesn't determine gender. Some kind of a power issue. I'll link the video, and I'll shut my mouth. Okay, later.